For the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great group assembled here tonight. I'll thank everybody who's joining us in person, and thank you also for those who are tuning in remotely. At this time, we are going to have a public hearing for the proposed capital project.
Jason Benedict with King Architects.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Wash, rinse, repeat is what Kyle mentioned. Just to give you a little bit of that for those that have seen the last couple of weeks presentations. But we are here to talk about your proposed capital improvement project. And what we've been starting with is a video that's been produced for the district. And so we'll start with that. Tina, I think you've got that.
Watertown City School District is excited to share details about a transformational proposal, a $110 million capital project that will make our schools safer, stronger, and more sustainable, all with no tax impact for our community. This project is about ensuring our students have the best possible environment to learn, grow, and succeed. We're focused on three critical priorities: keeping students warm, safe, and dry.
During my last 4 years at Watertown High School, one major thing that has made it difficult for me to focus is the extreme temperature inconsistencies. With these upgrades, it would remove this distraction for a more comfortable learning environment for myself and my peers.
Teaching social studies here at Case Middle School for the past 19 years, and I've come to understand that our schools are the heart of our community. Maintaining them is essential for our students' future. This project addresses aging infrastructure, modernizes essential systems, and ensures that we're meeting today's safety and accessibility standards.
Many of our buildings are in need of updates. This project will replace outdated heating systems, repair roofs, and upgrade windows and insulation to keep our schools warm, energy efficient during Watertown's harsh winters. Keeping students safe is another top priority. The project includes enhancements like secure entrances and updated fire alarms to ensure everyone feels secure while in our schools.
Feeling safe at school helps us focus on learning. The proposed upgrades like secure entrances and updated fire alarms will make sure our schools continue to be a safe place for students and staff every day, such as my younger siblings who will go throughout these buildings long after I have graduated.
And of course, keeping our schools warm and dry is essential. Repairs to roofs and masonry will protect our facilities from water damage, preserving them for generations to come. While upgrades to our boilers and HVAC systems will keep our students warm in their classrooms. So how does this work with no tax impact? The district is leveraging state building aid and reserve funds to do this project. That means we can address these critical needs without adding any financial burden for taxpayers.
I've been an educator here at North Elementary for 23 years. I know how impactful this project will be for our entire school community. One of our most important jobs as educators is to keep students safe. So that's why I believe that this capital project is important for both the safety and the education of our students.
This isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about creating a brighter future for our students while ensuring Watertown remains a great place to live and learn. After all, our children are our future. We're excited to partner with you on this journey. Stay informed and make your voice heard by voting on March 25th. Together, we can make a lasting difference for the lives of our students, our schools, and our community.
That was pretty.
And the second trailer. Second trailer's out already. Okay, so as Tina pulls up the presentation, the video does a great job of explaining the vision, mission for the project, as well as documenting photographs and images of what some of the challenges are. So the purpose for me tonight is to talk a little bit more about the process, what was involved to get to where we are with the proposal, as well as talk a little bit more specifically about what each building will include as far as renovations. All right, so starting with the timeline for what we've been working on as a committee, and there's a lot of folks that have been part of this process. I keep referring to the left side of the page in these presentations as a starting point. So going back to December 4th of 2023, our team kicked off the process by going through a building condition survey. That process is a state required surveying essentially process that ultimately allows schools to understand what the opportunities and challenges are for each of their facilities. And so as part of that survey, that kickoff, we met with various folks from staff, administration to really understand what things were going on relative to the everyday needs of these buildings. And so from that starting point, we then moved to interviews. Again, there were lots of folks involved with this, from building principals, food service, custodial staff, IT, athletics, and various other folks that were part of the committee to, again, give us feedback, and us meaning King, as well as our engineers, to really understand what was going on within each of the facilities. From that standpoint, moving into the spring of 24, our team was boots on the ground into each of these spaces, looking for our own, with our own eyes, and talking more specifically what these issues were. From that standpoint, we had a really good assembly of all the information that was part of the building condition survey. It was then a process of starting to prioritize and understand what the highest needs were. We mentioned in the last meeting, around $200 million was identified as part of the building condition survey, and the project that's being presented is 110. So obviously there had to be some dialogue and discussion, excuse me, relative to highest priority needs. So spring, summer 2024, advisory committees were assembled representing the students, administration, as well as the Board of Education. And specific questions were asked about what were the highest priorities from those different stakeholder groups. That information was then rolled into a smaller committee that essentially included district administration, our team, as well as construction managers, to ultimately rank those highest priority items. And so what we have tonight, and actually we'll go to the next slide.
Jason, we have a bit of a technical issue.
Okay.
Just here for a moment. Make sure.
Better you doing this than me.
Lots of practice. Back on track, Jason.
So the culmination of all that feedback as well as inspections led to the summary sheet. And I know it's difficult for everyone to see, but there are boards that will be placed in various buildings so that you can see this. That QR code that we quickly went through, it's an opportunity for folks to essentially visit the website and see that information more specifically. So I won't speak too much to this slide. To the right is the project financials, which Ben Maslona with Fiscal Advisors will speak to in a few minutes. But I will go right into each of the buildings. We'll start with the high school. And so one of the things I'll speak to at a high level for all of these buildings is that energy efficiency is something that we want to be looking at. Obviously, student safety. We want to be looking at all of the aspects that ultimately address these concerns that are essentially with systems that are well beyond their useful life. And so, as I've described in the past, each slide is set up similarly. The site components are the top portion. Middle is the building components, architectural components. And then lastly is the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. For the high school, and again, these are going to be similar for each of the buildings. The site components are really associated with parking lots and the need to essentially reconstruct those. Everyone driving in tonight likely had to dodge a pothole or two getting in. And so those systems are in much need of repair and need to be replaced as part of the project. Included with that for the high school specifically is the track. That again is beyond its useful life. You can see in some of the images, although it's tough to read from back here, cracks and different issues that are starting to form on the track that need to be replaced. Part of the project, especially from a site perspective, is dealing with ADA compliance, as well as improving drainage. One of the other aspects as far as the project that's going to be consistent that you'll hear quite a bit is dealing with any kind of hazardous materials, so asbestos and things like that. When we get into mechanical systems, there's insulation and flooring and things like that that need to be abated as part of our process, as part of a project. But from a mechanical plumbing standpoint, one of the key aspects with this project and as well as all of the buildings is really with the mechanical systems. They're well beyond their useful life. It really is a miracle in some cases that these systems are still operating. It speaks to the maintenance that's ongoing, but ultimately they need to be replaced. And as part of energy efficiency measures, we want to change these systems that are steam to hot water, much more controllability, easier to maintain, different things like that relative to upkeep. So that's a huge component along with all of the temperature controls. Aspects is the fire alarm system that will be replaced as part of the high school as well. Case. Very similar themes here, starting with the site components. Because this is a single campus, there's a lot of shared facilities, and so we will be addressing parking lots. And I didn't mention for the high school, but one of the other key aspects of this is that the school underwent a survey, a traffic study, to understand how efficiently, or the lack thereof, these parking lots are being utilized and how circulation, both pedestrian, bicycles, as well as bus loops, parent drop off, all the different aspects, visitors of the school, how that's working. And so that study is resulting in some significant changes that are required, and that will be part of the project as well. So middle school asphalt replacement. There is also site lighting and ADA compliance that needs to be addressed as well. Building, because this is a newer, you're okay. From a building perspective, for Case Middle School is the building management system. Because it's a little bit newer, we don't have as extensive of renovations as part of that project, that building. For HT Wiley, and from a site perspective, because it's a shared campus, we are looking at renovating the parking lots, as well as improving the playground area. And the parent drop-off configuration there needs to really be looked at. From a building perspective, one of the key aspects as we all entered into the district office, secure entry is needed. We need to have safe separation between students and visitors throughout the day. So as part of this project, the district office will receive a secure vestibule. From a programming standpoint, we are looking at the existing planetarium, which is small and underutilized. We want to renovate that space, reimagine what that looks like. And so that component would be part of the project as well. I mentioned hazardous materials that would be abated. From a mechanical standpoint, we've got lighting that would be abated as far as LED, and then building management systems. Right. North Elementary. So again, from a site perspective, there's significant need here from a site component as far as parking lots that need to be reconfigured. From a safety perspective, site lighting needs to be enhanced or added, and drainage as well needs to be addressed. The bigger component for North Elementary, and we talked about this as well, this building is in significant need because of its age, because of ongoing maintenance. Building shell itself, so roof, walls, really need to be addressed. So windows, the roof, as I just mentioned, masonry restoration, all has to be part of this project. Be sure that it's watertight, no further damage happens. So all those components are a major part of this project for North. And then ultimately from a mechanical electrical standpoint is LED lighting, and then the boiler conversion. So from steam to hot water here as well. Okay. Moving to Ohio. And you're going to see the themes here, but parking lots need to be addressed. We have to include site drainage, which you can see in that upper right image, as well as site lighting. From a building perspective, masonry restoration is part of this. Window replacements as well. Secure vestibule. So this is the second of 3 schools that will be receiving a secure vestibule as part of the project. And then corridor renovations. As I've described, this building in particular has corridors that have glass that separate classrooms from the main egress path. And so from a code perspective, we want to upgrade that and replace that glass either with more fire rated glass or potentially fill that in. More design is to come. And then lastly, related to the secure vestibule, we will have impacts on the main office and nurses spaces. So those will be renovated as part of the project as well. And as far as mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, that boiler conversion will happen in this building. Okay, Starbucks. Sidewalks. And I've mentioned this, that it's part of capital projects, which are an annual opportunity for schools to take on smaller projects with upwards of $100,000. The school has been doing those and doing site work as part of this. So the balance of those sidewalks will be replaced as part of this project. We're also looking at adding lighting. Then from a building perspective, the kitchen will be renovated. Currently, it's very unique situation how kids are served their meals. It's actually in the corridor. So we're looking to reconfigure that and be much more efficient and safe for the students. Secure vestibule. So this is one of those buildings as well that the secure vestibule will be undertaken, which includes main office and nurses suite being renovated as part of that as well. From a mechanical, electrical, plumbing standpoint, the boilers will be converted, steam to hot water, as well as the fire alarm will be replaced. Knickerbocker. So Knickerbocker, again, parking lots need to be reconfigured and reconstructed. You can see some of those images that show the deterioration. ADA compliance is needed here as well. From a building standpoint, we're looking at classroom renovations, which are for the special education classrooms. We've got some toilet rooms that are really in poor shape that need to be addressed. Window replacement, interior doors. And then again, which I mentioned in a previous building, the corridor renovations is part of the project. Lastly, from a mechanical standpoint, is the boiler conversion and then the fire alarm system. Okay, Sherman. From a site perspective, we're in a lot better shape, but there is site lighting that we want to introduce to this building, additional site lighting, as well as ADA compliance. From a building upgrade standpoint, masonry restoration, making sure it's weather tight, toilet room renovations, window replacement, classroom renovations, and to expand on that for this building, there's a number of classrooms in the basement level that are, from a code perspective, questionable, as well as just not a great teaching space for students. And so we want to look at ideas and opportunities for removing those kids from the basement and staff, moving them from the basement level and moving them to different areas. And then again, from a mechanical, electrical, plumbing standpoint, boiler conversion, steam to hot water, and then the fire alarm system. Lastly is the Massey building, not student occupied, which is a challenge relative to eligibility for aid, does not generate aid. So one of the things that we've been talking about, because the need is there in the site components, replacing sidewalks and stairs and doors, is that there might be other funding opportunities to utilize to maximize the project financials that Ben's going to speak to in a minute. But ultimately, the site components here are very much a liability and a safety concern. So those are the buildings. That's the scope. There's not a lot of frills. This is warm, safe, dry, which has been introduced as part of the video. Pretty basic project. So I'll let Ben speak a little bit of the project financials, and I will answer any questions.
One of the slides that Jason went over had a small pie chart on the right-hand side, and that does a very good job, albeit simple job of describing the funding sources. So when we're looking at this project, it does get a little more complex as far as how is it going to be paid for. But the big picture is the tax levy to support capital improvements within the district will remain neutral, meaning no tax increase for this project. There are three main components in funding the project. The first is that we're timing it to a 2007 bond project that is going to be falling off. So those payments are going away. The other thing is you have $10 million in capital reserves. The capital reserve is a voter approved reserve, which the voters had to, on the ballot, I think it was a few years ago, approved upwards of $10 million to be used for these types of improvements. The voters have to authorize to utilize that again. So that $10 million is dedicated, sitting to the side, waiting to be spent on a capital improvement project. And then the biggest and the most important piece of the puzzle is the building aid. The district has a 93.1% building aid ratio, which means if you do an aidable project, you'll get 93 cents on the dollar back. Now, with any capital project, especially one that's touching all buildings and has unaidable spaces, such as the Massey facility, inevitably there's going to be unaidable pieces of the project, which we've accounted for. So when it all boils down, about 94% of the project is aid eligible. So you would kind of apply 94 times 93. And once you multiply those two together, those times 110 million, that's where you get your 94 million of building aid. Now, building aid does not come to the district unless you have a voter approved project. So you can't just say, well, let's just take that 94 million and do something else with it. It must be for a voter approved capital project for building improvements. The other thing is that we've taken great care of is that 94% of the project that's aid eligible. We have gone through a number of iterations to make sure that percentage is as high as we can possibly get it. We want building aid to pay for the majority of this project as much as possible. We're under very stringent limitations in regards to each and every building of the district. I'll give you an example. The North Street Elementary building. You can only spend about $10.5 million on construction in that building in a 5-year period and get aid on it. So if we wanted to spend 20 million today, fine, you get 8 on 12. That's it. $8 million taxpayer expense. So those limitations apply to both construction and they also apply to site work and soft costs at each building. And so we had to go through various different schemes of how are we going to maximize what we spend at each building, get that 93 cents back. But the bottom line and my main charge with everything that I was given is to make sure it's a tax neutral project. So that's why when we mentioned there's over $200 million of work that could be done, how do we get to that 110 number? Well, I'm one of the reasons because I wouldn't let it go any higher because then it would have a tax increase. The other thing I'll just mention, I did say the pie chart does a really good job, a simplistic job. But just so everybody knows, you don't get that building aid back in a single year, right? You get it back over a 15, 20, or 30-year period, depending on if it's a reconstruction project, an additions project, or a new building. This is all reconstruction. So aid comes back over 15 years. We're going to issue bonds over 15 years. The debt service on a yearly basis will be at or below the amount of building aid coming back to the district. And that's how we can say, realistically, there will be no tax increase for the project.
And would you mind, in the last hearing, you spoke a little bit about repairs and lack of aid with repairing.
Sure. The state incentivizes districts to do capital projects because you get building aid. If you are to just go Band-Aid and fix things as they break, there's no aid associated with that. So whatever $20,000 fix here on a boiler, whatever it might be, that's taxpayer dollar for dollar. There's no incentive to let things crumble. The state understands that you have facilities, they need upkeep, they need capital improvements. This is the way that they get those done.
I just, I think of like Knickerbocker because we had some heating issues in Knickerbocker where their boilers struggled to get up and running. We have the main boiler, the backup boiler. And those are repairs that we had to do to get kids and staff back in those buildings. But it's imperative. That's why we said the warm, safe, dry. It's imperative that we look at replacing these boilers. Many of the boilers in our buildings are 35 plus years old. And so we're basically taping them together.
The other thing I'll mention that we mentioned at the last public hearing as well is has been talk and questions about, well, why don't we just knock buildings down and build new ones up again? So again, the state does not incentivize New York State schools to do that. It's a different approach. Some other states do. In one of the buildings that was kind of talked about quite a bit was the high school building. So I mentioned those cost allowances that are available for each and every building. So the high school's cost allowances, and again, cost allowance is the amount that you can spend within a 5-year period and receive building aid on it. Currently, the high school is about $43 million. So if you wanted to build if you could reconstruct the high school as it sits right now and get $43 million, or you could knock it down and build a new one, you get $43 million. That's it. Very rough numbers. We priced out, it would cost roughly about $100 million to build a new high school. I calculated that would be aided over 30 years. You would bond it over 30 years. That would be roughly a 19% tax increase for the district. That's just one building of all the buildings. So it's very unaffordable to build new, and it is the way to, I guess the way the state would prefer it with the way the rules are set up is that you every so often do capital projects such as this one to improve your facilities and continue that methodology as you move forward.
And can you just explain to the voters, at the last presentation, someone asked a question as to the longevity of this project and basically said that from shovel to ground, it's probably going to be about 7 years or so. So one of the questions that has been asked to me is, and can you assure the voters that the monies that we have secured for this capital improvement with zero impact to the taxpayer will remain moving forward? There's a concern that, moving forward, because it's going to be so many years ahead of us, that our tax levy is going to be affected by this, or that we'll have further taxpayer for this capital improvement.
Yeah, I can say that the project, there'll be no impact on the levy. As far as I think the key component of that's building aid, right? Is the building aid going to be here for the length of the project, which I have it actually going out to 2047. And the one thing I can speak to that is every school building project, and I've been doing this for 25 years, that has gone through the proper steps, on your SED approval, state education department approval, been bid properly, been aidable work, is always received its applicable percentage of building aid. Say that 3 times. The other thing I like to always mention is the worst economic downturn that I've ever been a part of throughout my career was in 2008. In 2008, there were other aids in New York State that were affected by the downturn. The one aid that stayed harmless was building aid. So that one stayed true. So I can only really speak to past precedent and what has happened, but every project I've worked on that has done what it's supposed to do has always received its aid.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Does anyone have any questions, ladies, gentlemen, before we excuse them for the night? Okay.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Now I'll need a motion to move back into open session.
John,
A second. Kelly, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, here we go. Michelle, any agenda changes this evening?
I don't have any agenda changes. I just wanted to bring to the board's attention that they do have an updated personal report with 51 edits and we posted it on Friday.
Good. Anyone here wishing to address the board on agenda related public comment? Okay. Michelle, do we have any communications?
I have a couple quick things. Mrs. Atkinson at the high school has cordially invited the board for the National Honor Society induction ceremony coming up on April 3rd. There is an invitation at everybody's seat. In addition to that, BOCES is having the annual dinner meeting on Wednesday, April 2nd. This dinner meeting is a presentation of the 25-26 proposed BOCES budget. And if anybody's interested, if they could just let me know and I will sign everybody.
This time, I'll turn it over to Mike Morgan, our athletic director, with the student voice and student athletes.
Good evening, everybody. We have 3 presentations this evening, and we'll start tonight. I have the privilege of recognizing 2 remarkable student athletes who are continuing their athletic careers at the collegiate level, Alina Klepp and Noah Fargo. First, we have Alina, who is a standout multi-sport athlete who has excelled in soccer, track, and most notably lacrosse. Lacrosse has been a part of her life since she was 6 years old, and throughout her career, her passion, dedication, and love for the sport have been evident. A standout moment in her career came last season when her and her team pulled off an unforgettable victory over CBA on their senior night. That victory exemplified Alina's resilience, competitive spirit, and leadership. And these qualities will undoubtedly serve her well as she continues her lacrosse journey at Belmont Abbey. Next, we have Noah Fargo, whose leadership and skill have set the standard for excellence in Watertown lacrosse. As a junior, Noah earned first team All-North, second team All-CNY, and Frontier League All-Star honors. Throughout his 4 years on varsity and 9 years total of playing lacrosse, Noah has consistently demonstrated the work ethic and determination that have not only earned him accolades, but also inspired his teammates and the Watertown lacrosse community as a whole. Noah will be attending Nazareth next year. Both Alina and Noah have given so much to Watertown and our community, and we're incredibly proud to see them continue their athletic careers, and we wish them both the best of luck as they take those next steps. So thank you very much, guys. Next up, I'm going to turn the floor over to our bowling coach, Kevin Durr. The bowling team just completed their first official season as a Section 3 interscholastic sport here at Watertown and within the Frontier League. And it was an incredible season, a lot of fun for personally me to watch. I had a great time at a couple of your matches, and the floor is now yours, bud.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So as a proud school counselor at Case Middle School, I feel like one of my missions is to help students find those important connections to their school and to their community. And coaching is just, you know, such an incredible opportunity to make that happen. I'm just very thankful for that. So last year we had a bowling club just to gauge the interest of the, you know, in our area here. And I was just so impressed with the amount of talent we had. And I knew this year would be a success. So as a side note, we still also have the bowling club at Case Middle School that's been running, and I'm running a few clinics with them right now to help them, you know, improve their scores. So I coached 2 teams. We had 6 students that were girls, and on the girls team, and on the boys team, 17. And I've just never seen such dedication and commitment from such players. They would practice all night if I let them. They just keep going and going. They all have a unique style, and they even helped me improve my game as well, learning two-handed. So that's kind of neat. So yeah, as Mike said, we had a very successful season. We only lost to Beaver River. The boys only lost to them. Our girls had a really great building year. And for many of our players, it was their first sport they ever played. And this provided them with just an incredible sense of Cyclone pride. And, you know, it gave them something greater to belong to other than themselves, which is just incredible as well, too. So throughout this whole process, I would say that if I had a quarter for everyone who expressed to me that they wished that this existed when they were in high school, I would be kind of rich. So just to recognize Jack, who's standing right back over here. Tyler right over here. Got our nice swag right there too. And got our team actually helped create the logo, which is really neat. They were in our sectional shoot off in Syracuse. That meant that their averages had to be within the top 5 of our entire league, which was incredible. Tyler had a 176.2 average, Jack a 154.6. They were also part of our sectional team as well too. And I'm told that they missed the state team by, one of them missed the state team by 52 pins, which is just incredible. So along with me here are captains, Riley, stand up Riley. Tanner as well. Already selected as captains for next year. We have Colton and Jack again here. So Jack was just going to say a few words about our season.
All right. So this year was my first year, and I think like as a coach and just as our team, it just helps, especially Coach Durr, getting like a good connection with the players and improving everyone. And it's like I've never bowled before. This is my like first year, so the team really helped like lift me up, being able to be top 3 in like the larger schools for the Frontier League and make all the individual sectionals. And the team was just great to be on this year. And thank you to Coach Durr and all my teammates.
So we just have so many people to thank for their support, but our team has a special gift for Jason Harrington. We had heard that you were a president of a bowling team or a bowling club. You were a student, so Tanner would like to present you with a special gift.
I was indeed, and I was going to say that, but you said it for me. Yeah, it was a great time, and I'm so envious of all of you that you get to have that fun, because it's a very fun memory. And this means the world to me. Look at that.
So just to wrap this up, you know, this has been a fantastic opportunity for our students. We have it within us to bring home a championship. We have it in us to be sponsored too. So this is also the fastest growing sport right now in the country. And as Mr. Morgan would agree, it's pretty easy to set up because you don't have to worry about space on campus and there's no referees to pay. So I know that discussions are taking place at other schools to join our league. So we just want to say thank you.
I have a question for the bowlers. I don't know if any of you want to speak up or all of you, but what made you join the bowling league? What was it that inspired you to decide to join the sport and join this bowling league?
My mom, she's right over there. This time she's bowled, and I've always gone and watched her, and I kind of started picking it up, just throwing the ball off my chest. And past probably 4 years, I've taken it real seriously, and I progressed and progressed. And I heard about the club for the school. I decided to do it. And now this year, it was just a great honor to even be able to, take the team to sectionals and go to almost states, if that. It's our first year. We didn't know what we were walking into, and it's just great. It's just a great thing that we made it here.
My dad used to bowl, well, still does. It's not as good as he used to. Coacher actually emailed my mom saying that he saw me on the news a couple times and was wondering if I'd be interested in joining the club. And I talked it over and decided to do it. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the connections I made. And so when I found out they were making a team and he reached out to me again this year, I was all up for it. I didn't expect to be team captain, which I'm very grateful and honored to do that. And I hope to do it next year.
Have you outperformed your dad's record yet? You don't have to comment if you don't.
It depends.
We are so proud of you, and I look forward to getting updates. And coach, I can see that the players are fond of you also, and the bond that you've built is phenomenal. And who knows, send me an email. I might know of a business that could sponsor such a great club. So send me an email tomorrow, and I'd love to circle back on that. Really, because I want one of those jackets. I'm so jealous. I looked at that and I want one with my name on it. So I have to figure out how I can do that. But one more round of applause. Okay, and if you were here for the student voice portion, this is the time to run for the door. Thank you for coming, guys. Thank you. Ever since I graduated high school. I want to stay awesome. All right. So we're just talking here while everybody's leaving. I think we'll try to organize the Board of Education versus their bowling club. I think that's the only athletic event that we could all compete against. I don't really see us going. I guess, but the bowling, I think we could.
Definitely fun one.
Right, yeah. Yeah. So. And it's both. I hope so. I really hope so, yeah. Listen, just take it over right here. Mr. Cully goes over the FAF committee report.
Thank you. I don't take offense that everyone always leaves before I speak. But no, I actually just want to start to say kudos to each of the athletes, to Mike for bringing them, and especially the bowling club, just for a number of different reasons. That's an excellent growth in our district. Okay, so we met prior to this. then joined us to answer any questions we had on the tax cap, one of which is how exactly it's calculated, how do you get to the 2.44? He kind of went through that. From there, we kind of jumped around a little bit, had some budget discussions, but next really settled on the outlay project and where to spend $100,000 next year. I know sidewalks is what we did in the previous years. We talked about that. Safety, some outdoor storage. However, it was determined that's not aidable. Thanks for Ben for being in the meeting. So that's probably not something that we want to pursue. Playgrounds at Starbuck was another issue. North was also talked about, being that they have a large list of needs, a wish list, I guess you could say, in which there's some pretty exciting things like air conditioning in the data closet, concrete foundation restorations, please hold your applause, chimney restoration, reconfiguring a dead end corridor. But in all seriousness, a couple things really stuck out to us because they would be a little more tangible, usable for the students. One being converting locker rooms to usable space, and the old tennis courts, or what used to be tennis courts there, into a sensory space on campus. Discussed. From there, we talked about the possibility of adding or pursuing getting some numbers to add some passenger vans for transportation on things such as non-aidable sports trips, alternatives for reimbursements for various travel. Also talked about adding plow trucks as well as other equipment that's needed for our campuses. This is part of a replacement plan, and the money has been budgeted. It's not just wanting to drive around with plow trucks. This has been budgeted for and is needed to keep our campuses both free of snow and salted as well. Let's see, I jumped to some budget discussion. Direction of the budget is heading, addition of personnel, the increase in prices and really everything. And then we talked about health insurance increases, other insurances, and special education services that are needed for next year. That concludes what we've discussed.
Very good. Anyone have any questions for Kelly? Okay, and moving along, it appears that Dr. Schmidl is up next. Superintendent of Schools report.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone, and those people that are listening in. Just a positive reminder to our students, and this is eligible for any student that's in 9th grade through 11th grade. There is a new law in effect, excuse me, I can't speak, July 1, 2025 to include a student on our school board. And so those applications, I had promised that those would go out following winter break. Those have been sent out to all of our high school students. So I know we have some students diligently working on those. Just a reminder that those deadlines are April 28th. The next thing, on a positive note, you would have heard at a couple of board meetings ago, I talked about the disrepair of our high school stage. It's important to mention that many of our schools in our district benefit from the use of our high school stage. And so we are looking at, during April break, the stage to be emptied. After everyone in this audience, I know, has seen Mamma Mia, a plug for them because they're doing a great job rehearsing for that. And then we'll have a new stage floor. So we're excited to see what that's going to look like. And we know that our students will create wonderful memories as in years past on our current stage. Just another plug, working with our county and our city asked us to join forces on a safe routes to school. They had a face-to-face event. It was not well attended. And so this is an excellent opportunity for community members or parents. They don't have to be parents only. For anyone in the community that wants to talk about safe routes to school, that is going to be, they decided to make it into a webinar this time to see if they could increase some participation. You would have seen us push that out at the district level, and I also asked our principals to do the same thing. That is this week on March 5th from 6 to 7 p.m. And that is it.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Lynn Gaffney is up next, the Assistant Superintendent for Instruction.
Just 4 things.
Great.
I want to start by expressing my gratitude to the teachers in our district for working so diligently for our students and their commitment to embracing evidence-based teaching practices. I'm in the schools a lot, and every time I visit the schools, I see amazing teaching and learning happening. Our district's growing, our district is evolving, and our teachers are at the heart of that progress. So I continue to be honored to work with such a dedicated and professional group of people. I also want to thank our principals. Every day they show up and they give our all for our students and teachers. And as the instructional leaders in our buildings, they are constantly learning and growing. Each month they have to attend Principals Academy with me, which they have likened to a college course. They say it's very difficult. Their work is not easy, but they support one another. They work together to ensure their schools provide the very best education for their students. We continue to have our teachers participate in the science of reading professional development with the Reading League. The Reading League has been visiting our schools to offer support. Again, I have to say our teachers are knocking it out of the park. We had some writing professional development going on over the last few months and again today, and we're continuing to refine our writing portion of our literacy program. Also, our literacy coordinators are meeting this week to help support and enhance the district's literacy efforts. And then finally, as you know, our strategic plan is our North Star. That's the guide to the work we do. Significant efforts are being made to increase student engagement and achievement. And last week, I was able to facilitate a combined staff and student advisory discussion on student engagement. Their insights from both perspectives were thoughtful and valuable, and we will continue collaborating with these groups to ensure their voices help inform our district's work.
Thank you so much. Tina Lane up next with Assistant Superintendent for Personnel and Student Services report.
On February 12th, I participated in the North Country Regional Virtual Career Fair sponsored by the New York State Department of Labor, whereby the district set up a virtual booth online with all of our job openings. Potential employees browse various entities' openings and were given the opportunity to chat with me regarding our district, its openings, and employees' potential room for career growth within our organization. It was all online for 3 hours. It was a different format. We're trying some different things to garner interest in our positions. I'll also be attending the 4th Annual Workplace Spring Job Fair on April 8th at the Hilton Garden Inn from 1 to 4 p.m. Our youth event was held at Case Middle School on February 27th. That was last Thursday. And this year's event was held in the gym at Case, which was enveloped by 34 community organizations who participated in our wellness fair. They provided our audience with opportunities to learn about the wide array of resources ranging from healthcare to parenting assistance available to the residents of our community. Through the generous contributions of our 7 community donors, we were able to provide transportation to the event for elementary families, free dinner and snacks, and free childcare through the Jefferson Lewis Bosse's Early Childhood Program. And we also were able to have Fine Print, a local hip hop artist with over 30 years of experience, bring his uplifting, educating, and inspiring message to our students and our attendees as well. We had 2 keynote speakers who spoke on topics such as internet safety and child advocacy. And we had over 120 attendees at this year's event, and our committee is already planning an even better and more attended event next year. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize the many school-based volunteers who assisted, to include our student MCs, Connor Brown and Riley St. Joseph. And also a heartfelt thank you goes out to the members of the Vape Cessation Committee who made this event an impressive success. Lisa Blank, Tara Elmer, Matt Burdick, Ashley Buckley, Christine Sutton, Jill Lanfear, Lori Peters, Stacy Netto, Alexine Thomas Brown, Ebony Combs, and Chris Connors. They showed their true dedication to the district. And we also had many other groups around the district who volunteered their time as well. Greatly appreciate it. We're looking forward to an even better event next year. So thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Last but not least, Leanne Durham, with the Assistant Superintendent, Operations and Finance.
We're gonna have to delay that enjoyment for just a little bit longer. I'll defer to the discussion portion, please.
Okay. Okay. Items for consent agenda.
Resolved that consent agenda items A, B, C, D, and E are hereby approved.
Motion, please. Don and Millie. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Items for action.
Resolved that the approval of the memorandum of agreement by the Superintendent of Schools of the Watertown City School District, Board of Education, and the Jefferson County Board of Elections for the budget vote school board elections on May 20, 2025 is hereby approved.
Motion, please. Gina, a second. Lori. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries.
Resolved that an agreement by and between the city of Watertown and the Watertown City School District for a school resource officer for the period of July 1, 2025, and expiring 1 year on June 30, 2026 is hereby approved.
Motion, Kelly second.
John.
John, any discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Just point of clarification, so now we're gonna have two SROs. One
That's just a continuation of our current contract with our new price.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, Dr. Larry Schmiegel, the Board of Education hereby approves the following: resignations, appointment term non-probationary instructional, probationary instructional, probationary non-instructional, permanent part-time, substitutes non-instructional, spring coaching girls.
Okay, so I have a motion. Lori and Tina, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Dr. Larry Schmiegel, superintendent of schools, be paid administrative leave of a non-instructional employee effective February 27, 2025 is hereby.
Motion please. Down second. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Whereas a resolution was passed by the Board of Education on January 28, 2025, approving the effective date of Ashley Walters to be January 30, 2025 as a provisional appointment senior typist. And be it further resolved that this amended resolution reflects a change in the effective date to be January 29, 2025. It is hereby approved.
Motion please. Lori second. Tina, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the Madison Oneida BOCES final services commitment form for board policy audit services for the 25-26 school year as presented to the board is hereby approved.
Motion please. John, second. Tina, discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So that the approval of the contract for health and welfare services for the Washington City School District students attending a non-public school in Carthage Central School District for the school year 24-25 as presented to the board is hereby approved.
Motion please.
Millie.
And second. Lori, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the approval of extracurricular advisor, Katie Taylor, advisor for the newly created drama club at Case Middle School is hereby approved.
Motion please. John, second. I looked up and John Payne was just staring at me. Sure, the jokes right themselves.
Perfect age group to have a drama club.
There it is. That's a good one. I was trying to think on my feet. That was great.
Well, I can say, what do we, 47 kids that are on the list, and my daughter is one of them, and she is so excited about this. So thank you to Ms. Taylor for taking this on and helping these kids, and what a great opportunity to give our kids more theater experience.
Help feed into the high school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the appointment of Jacob Remsing as an extracurricular co-advisor for the Wiley Student Council for the 24-25 school year is hereby approved.
Motion please. Tina, second. Lori, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, Dr. Larry Schmiegel, the bids from Auctions International for 21 Canon copiers at $3,500, 2008 Ford F-350 at $5,200, and a 2010 Ford E-450 school bus at $930 is hereby approved.
Motion please. Kelly, second.
John.
Twice, brother. I am shocked. If I would have put 931 on that bus. I can't believe that I missed this opportunity.
It costs that much to tow it.
Million things that, you know, just the opportunities present themselves. I could make it a home. Talk about missing your big break. I'll be thinking about that.
Just in case you need to live in a van.
Yeah, a bus nonetheless. Let me know if a bus ever comes up for sale again. Okay. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
It's the end of the resolutions.
Okay, anyone here wishing to address the board on non-agenda related public comment tonight? Perfect. Then Bree, I think this is when I'm turning it back to you.
Oh, boy. Okay. Every one of you should have a couple of packets. You'll have one that looks like this, an Excel spreadsheet. And then you'll have another one that's got the budget calendar on the front. I want to address this packet first. This packet is a draft preliminary budget. And I will go over different things that we're waiting on, which is why it is only a draft. In the thick one, right, like the second one in, that is the total budget that includes all buildings, all departments. Each individual one is behind it for your reference. Okay. And some of the highlights I want to share with you over the past couple of weeks. We'll start with property insurance, as Coley had mentioned briefly during his F&F report. Haler Fire & Kuhn is our insurance provider, and they use Utica National as our actual insurance company. Our current loss ratio this year was 176% due to the fact that we had at the high school. Last year, our loss percentage was only 40%. So because it is so high, Adam LeClaire, our rep with Haler Fire & Kuhn, is reaching out to other companies such as Liberty Mutual to see if we can get a better rate. So at this point in time, oh yes, I'm sorry, and the floods over at North, which you had 2 of them this year. And the gym, yes, the gym at North from last January. So that is one big unknown at this point, but preliminarily, we're estimating about a 10% increase across the board on property insurance. The next item that's not a huge impact, but just to share with you, when it comes to utilities, we have natural gas and electric. SMEC is where we hedge our electric supply. National Grid delivers it. SMEC has already predicted about a 10% increase across electric supplies. So that's going to be a little bit of a jump in the budget as well. We have a couple of contracts that are up for negotiation, so we don't have any final numbers on those. We're just using some rough estimates as a place figure at this point in time. And of course, the admin team will be sitting down this week, Thursday morning, to go over every single request that every building and department has requested. So when you are looking through this, when you have some insomnia and you just need a reason to sleep, these numbers include every single staffing request that everybody has asked for. So those numbers will look a little high, which is why I mentioned last week that it's not a very reasonable number to give to you at this point, but you asked for something, so I'm giving it to you today.
The only thing that I want to highlight when you talked about increases is also the additional of 6% employer contributions for health insurance.
Yes. Yep. Just going over, making sure I got my stuff. When we look at, so again, the BOCES budget also has, I don't know if I told you this, BOCES budget has not been fully adopted yet, so we don't have final numbers from BOCES. Those numbers right now are, we estimate at a 3% increase over the current year numbers until we have those final ones. And as those numbers come in, then the budget will be tweaked. So it's a moving project as we go along. And when we're looking at, yeah, I got notes all over the place, guys, I'm sorry. Also included in here is, we have mentioned before with our fund balance being almost 25%, we have talked about different projects that we can use to bring that down a little bit. And as King mentioned with our capital project presentation, Massey Learning Center does not receive any building aid from New York State. Their high needs level is about $1.5 million. So that is included in here as part of that fund balance management. Okay. From a revenue standpoint, the numbers from the governor will not be available till April 1st. If the budget is on time, we're looking at April 1st to really solidify the New York State numbers. And foundation aid. Dr. Schmiegel asked me to bring this up. So last year, foundation aid increased over 8% for this district last year. And
about 877.
yes. For the coming year, it's only going at 3.17%. And the reason behind that is when Kathy Hochul came into office, she made it her goal to make sure the schools were all fully funded for their foundation aid. So there were a lot of districts that were underfunded, and Watertown happened to be one of them. So that was a 2-year process. And last year was the final year of doing the fully funded, which is your 8.77% foundation aid. Going forward, now that you're fully funded, schools are only going to get their 2% minimum, or based on their new foundation aid formula, which we're at 3.
So we'll be seeing at least a 5% decrease in foundation aid for next year.
Yes. Yep. So that is where we stand at this point in time. I did mention at the FNF committee, I will have a better estimate for you on your fund balance level at the next meeting.
Bree, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have a goal, a percentage goal to maintain our fund balance? One of the things that we've heard from our fiscal advisors is that we want to have a healthy fund balance so that it can leverage us against borrowing money. So right now we're at 24%. We talked about some projects that we want to dip into that. Currently, you know, regs say we have to be at 4%. Probably the better is 10 to 11%. So it's to stay at the 11% mark. Or have we thought about what we want that number to be?
So the Rockefeller Institute kind of hit something where you just said they hit around 10%. I'm not sure where the governor's going to act on that yet, but that was the recommendation. The one thing that we also mentioned at the FNF meeting was the idea that in years past, the district, when you go out for a grant, there has to be a sustainability piece built into the grant. And so for a lot of our positions that were built into the grants, they're almost like double charged in the sense that the grant was covering them. In the event the grant got pulled, then that money would be gone and we'd have to sustain those staffings beyond that. So that is also, it kind of overinflated the fund balance because of that.
Yeah, and kudos to Josh and Sally for planning for that. And that's put the district in a good position to, potentially deal with any, the state aid increases aren't going to be as good as they were in the past. So it's a good place to be in.
Anything else?
You are welcome. If you guys have any questions, just give me a holler. As I said, the admin team will meet on Thursday to start going over the different building requests.
Great. Upcoming dates to share with everyone. Tomorrow, winter sports banquet is at 6 p.m. at Watertown High School. And the Board of Education has a scheduled food service tour, 11 a.m. at Watertown High School. Thursday the 6th, Case and Watertown High School art show at the Flower Memorial Library from 5:30 to 6:30. Friday the 7th, early dismissal for grades K through 12 for parent-teacher conferences. And then Tuesday the 18th, we've got a policy committee meeting here at 5 and our regular Board of Education meeting at 6 p.m. right here, HT Wiley. Start off with, let's go Randy today.
Thank you. It's always good to see the students. They remind us why we're here, put all in perspective. So that was really good. The only other thing I would add, I'm going to put on my other hat. The deadline for scholarships at the Northern New York Community Foundation is March 15th. We have hundreds of scholarships from all types of students, including trade and technical careers. Right now, Watertown is in last place in Jefferson County, and we want to change that pretty quick. So as far as participation rate. So I would just put the word out there to anyone who has a high school senior, either to contact the community foundation or get on our website and apply.
Can I ask you a question about that? So any kid, any high school kid can apply. And so are your scholarships structured by like categories or anything? Or is it like one general?
We have lots of individual scholarships that donors have set up.
Okay.
Some of them are career specific or college specific, but a lot of them are for the average student. So we have some merit based, but I think a lot of people think you got to be a top-A student to get a scholarship, and we have more people now that are establishing support for students who are the average student with other qualities, community service, athletics, those kind of things. So there's really something for everybody.
So would my daughter qualify as an applicant because she goes to boarding school?
If she's officially a resident of Jefferson County.
She's officially a resident.
So yeah, she could be a resident of the Tri-County area.
Okay.
But Watertown's at 7% application rate right now, and we gotta change that in the next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Yep. Mr. Gozier. I really don't have a lot. However, does anyone remember the door we were supposed to meet at for tomorrow's door number?
I think it's 19.
Because I do not remember. You just knock on them. Yeah, I'll just keep knocking.
It's door 9. I believe it's
Keep run back, right? Door
19.
19.
Where's that? That's the
It's in the vortex.
Is it? No, seriously, where is where
Yeah,
19?
so it's probably by the loading dock in the back, by the, and this little parking lot in between this office.
Oh, where the kids play volleyball.
Yeah.
Oh, where the kids play ball. Okay, that I know. I know that part.
No, it's hoping to be able to make that. And then actually the only other thing I really had was I appreciate Jason and Ben being here, Ben being in our meeting as well, and going over the proposed capital projects. I know Jason joked about the redundancy of it. For me, it's not really like watching Groundhog's Day. It's more like watching Dumb and Dumber. And let me explain. I like this. So Groundhog Day, you're waiting for a solution, but with Dumb and Dumber, I could watch that movie over and over and over again. Because that's awesome. But and the reason I say that is because I think it's an important thing for the public, you know, to be educated on what it is. It's a no frills, it's essential upgrades for the districts, it's things that are needed. So if there are any questions or if you haven't heard something that you need to hear, please reach out and ask someone.
Yeah, please, if you have any questions, please email me and we'll work to make sure everyone gets the answers. What we've been trying to incorporate as we keep our presentations moving forward is answering those questions in the next presentation.
I like the analogy. I like that.
And Gojo, if I can add something to that, it's the vote is on the same night as the music in our schools. So on March 25th, and we have ordered additional machines from the county. So that we can try to keep those lines moving, and that will be in our band room and then at North Elementary School for the South District. Second thing I said.
Mrs. Scottlers.
I don't really have anything. It was nice the bowling team has done so well. I used to bowl as well, but not on a team. That was like back in the day when 6 years ago. So we should challenge them.
100%.
The other thing is I went to the community event with Millie was there and Tina as well. And the event was it was done very well. I'm just very disappointed in the lack of community that came. I feel like I hear all the time, like we don't do enough, or, you know, people complain about not having community events and we have them, and I've been to them all and no one shows up. So that's my rant for the evening. Please show up. If you want us to have them, show up.
Set. Thank you. Tina Fluno.
I don't have much either. I do want to congratulate Mike Morgan and bringing the kids and that bowling team. They were so cute. It's nice to keep having sports or different things that the kids can relate to, like the new drama club. I think that's amazing. Kudos to little Kane girl. She is something else. She makes me happy.
She's something else, all right.
She is something else. She does. She makes me happy. So I just wanted to thank the bowling team and Mike for organizing all that and keeping up with the kids. And Bree, I don't know, man. Thank you.
Well, you shall receive.
Wow. All right, let me see what I can think of to ask for. It's not one of those. That's all I got.
John King.
So I apologize, I can't be there tomorrow, but I'm sure everybody will fill me in. I didn't want to miss 2 days of school in a row. I was in Albany today for NICE's Committee of 100, so I got to meet with Mark Walczyk and Ken Blankenbush from Lewis County and Scott Gray. And I just want to say that we are fortunate to have some amazing state legislators that absolutely support public education in the North Country, know how important it is to our students, our kids, to have good quality schools. And just the conversations, I've been doing that for many, many years, and the conversations are always good, but I feel like I'm barking up the wrong tree because those guys get it. They know what needs to happen for our schools to be successful. So always good to see them, always good to spend a little bit of time in Albany, but they're definitely strong supporters of public education. And then just to everybody support our capital project, come out and vote. Like Holly said, these are things that are going to keep our buildings standing up and safe for our kids. We'll have to worry about frills down the road in another building project, but this one is just to make sure that we can continue to provide education to our students. And then my other one, Mamma Mia, make sure everybody gets out to see Mamma Mia. I know how hard these kids have been working on the weekends, on the evenings, the hours that they've put in. I have not seen a preview. I have heard it's going well. But we always have phenomenal shows, and I can't imagine that this one will be any different. So get out and see it. Me too. Do you have a part in this one? Are you lying to us?
I didn't want it to have a negative impact on the capital project.
It's funny.
No.
I have a few things. First of all, Mike, I think you've been doing a great job of bringing these athletes here. Athletics is a big part of my life. All my children are highly skilled athletes. And I think that when you're bringing kids here and honoring their achievements, it really breeds a lot of connection into the Cyclone pride. And they also feel that they're acknowledged. So I want to thank you for continually, you've been doing this now for a few weeks, and I think that's a great show for our school. We have really great kids here in terms of athleticism. The bowling team, I mean, those kids are amazing. To sit there and say they've never done this before, like I really felt the most spirit out of them, that they're genuinely engaged in something that is so wonderful. So I will buy the popcorn because I can't bowl, but I will be there. In terms of the capital improvement project, I've gotten several phone calls, and I asked that very specific question to Ben, because people are afraid that there's zero impact on the taxpayer now, but maybe down the line, because it's going to take us so long, there's going to be an impact. And I'm glad to hear that he reiterated in terms of past predicting the future that that's probably will not be a likely occurrence. I think that our community, it's a lot of money, it's $110 million, but our community really needs to support this. I am going to encourage everyone that I know that we need to support this. Our buildings are in bad shape, and if we continue to kick the can down the road, they're not going to be reparable. So we need to really bite the bullet, and the frills, as you said, shall come later on, but this is very basic to our infrastructure, and we have to support this. I want to follow up on a couple of comments I made last week. Bree, thank you very much for this. I think this is, for me personally, is very helpful for me to have some visual comparison. The meetings and all the updates that you're providing, I think is going to give us an ability to make an educated vote and support for our teachers, the district, administration. This is very important. So I know that this took a lot. This is not easy to put together. And I appreciate that, and I will be going through it. So the paper wouldn't have been wasted. Tina, I just wanted to thank you. Your email, I asked you about coaching and what the regs were, and you sent a very thorough information about that. I think there's going to be some more conversation about that, but I wanted to thank you for following up. That was really nice of you to do that. The other thing, I'm going to counter your perception on the youth event that we went to. I actually felt for Watertown, and I know what you're saying, but I actually felt that given the weather, it was well attended. And I can tell you that the feedback that I got from families was very good. The MC was amazing. All of the stations, Lori and I walked all the stations. There were services that are being offered to this community. One in particular is a nutritional through the cooperative extension. They have a new lady that they're training, and she would love to get into Case Middle School, as she shared with us, and provide some nutritional counseling and not counseling, that's the wrong word, education. So I asked her to please reach out to the principal at Case Middle School so that she can get connected. But she was super enthusiastic. And I thought, given the day, it was well attended. The enthusiasm of the students was amazing. Yes, we want more. There was a lot of seats that were empty, but I feel like we did a good job in attending that. So put a positive spin on that. And the one other thing that we did, Lori and I, Larry and Tina, and I saw you in the back, was we attended the Legislators Forum a couple of weeks ago. And in this forum, we were able to engage in conversation with Mark Walzak, Scott Gray, Ken Blankenbush, Santami, who's his assistant chief of staff, and Will Barkley. And I was impressed with the questions that were asked and the fund of knowledge that these school districts have. Like, they asked a lot of really good questions. And I thought the most impressive part about that forum was that our legislators were like, oh, wow. And I'll give you a great example. We talked about the cell phone policy. So the governor allotted $13 million to address the cell phone policy because it's a directive. And someone, I believe, was from General Brown, got up and said, we don't need your 13 million. We're not saying no to money, but we don't need $13 million. We already established the policy and it's working great for us. And they went through the whole thing of how they've implemented this policy at $0. You can take that money and repurpose it and use it for something else. So that was one of the things that was really nice. And actually, Bill Barkley got up and said, I didn't think it was going to be that easy. I had no idea that you guys wouldn't be like, we don't need money to fix this problem. So it was an eye opener. I was glad to be included in that. I thought it was very, very good. So I wanted to share that with everybody else, that these forums, although sometimes they sound like they're going to be a little cheesy, it wasn't. There was a lot of smart people there. There was a lot of, really great questions. And I felt it was an hour well spent, extremely organized, extremely organized. So that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one update this week from Beth Mauer. She says, we are thrilled to share that 7 of our 8 community-based organizations have utilized our instructional coach this year. Kristen has been instrumental in supporting teachers and their teams in implementing the units of study for creative curriculum and in guiding new teachers and staff. In addition to providing one-on-one support, Kristen collaborates with me to deliver monthly professional development studies for all lead teachers focusing on the units of study. We also provide targeted professional development for teaching assistants and aides 3 times a year. Our training incorporates key district initiatives, including the information processing model, Cyclone 6, norms of collaboration, and the guiding principles from New York State Office of Early Learning. To ensure accessibility, all professional development resources are housed in a centralized platform called Work Smarter, Not Harder Teacher Edition. Finally, we're so excited to decorate next month's bulletin board in the district office, especially as we prepare to celebrate the Week of the Young Child in April. Different departments decorate the bulletin board?
Yeah, this one right up here.
Really? What month do we get? I would like that because I've got great ideas. That's my first time reading that. I'll be thinking about that in the bus all evening. July. Yeah, I don't really have anything. It was great. Athletes in the bowling club, and everybody said that. I think the great thing about the bowling club, if you listened to what those kids said, is they were like, "I've never been on the athletic team. We've never been," and that's what's so special about that team in this district is you don't have to fit into. You're an athlete, or there's so many opportunities here, and everybody should just feel good about that. So.
Thank you, Dr. Schmiegel, for starting that.
That was started this year. Our voters approved that. And then last year we did the indoor track, and just the same, the amount of kids that were engaging when you look at the overall sense of belonging, athletics in the district. So we're going to continue to grow.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, we are in need of an executive session to discuss proposed pending or current litigation. Can I have a motion, please? Millie in a second. John, all those in favor?
Aye.